Hi, my name is Crash. I'm the creator of STRM.TOOL, and I'm going to walk you through the settings menu and show you how to set up STRM.TOOL to work the way you want it to. Let's get into it. All right, from here, you want to go into the top right corner and go to the settings option. From here, you have some general settings, and then we get into some more advanced stuff. I'll walk you through all these settings so you know what to expect. We have general settings, show the user interface when STRM.TOOL starts. If you're still setting up triggers and you want to do stuff like that, you want to check the session log, anything like that, you can leave it on so it starts automatically. But if you already have your triggers all set up, you just want to get streaming, you can disable that so you don't have your browser open up with the user interface every single time you start it. Automatically start STRM.TOOL when Windows starts. It's just one less step when you're doing your streaming process. It takes very little resources to run STRM.TOOL. As we can see right here, Crash Coke STRM.TOOL is taking 0% CPU, 11.2 megabytes of RAM, no GPU. So it takes very, very little resources to run this. It's to the point where it's not affecting anything noticeable. So if you want to just take one more step out of your setup, you can turn that on. You don't have to. Dark mode. I suggest you leave it on. Personal preference, but there is a light mode if you want to burn your retinas out. And then reverse session log. We'll get into the session log a little bit later as well. But session log normally goes from the top and it adds stuff to the bottom as things happen, as events happen in your stream. You can reverse it so that when you go to session log page, the newest stuff is at the top instead of the bottom. So you don't have to scroll. You see the newest stuff right away. Log file. Every single session of STRM.TOOL keeps a log of everything that's going on. And if we go over to the user files folder, and we go up one level, we can see that there's the logs folder. In here, we have all of our logs, and they're just saved as different files. And we'll go through those files, but you can check everything that's happened in STRM.TOOL, and you can look back, and you can log more information as well if you want. But there's different ways to save the data in that log file. There's the plain text, which is something you open in Notepad, and that's designed to be easily read. So you can take a glance at it, and you can see it. It makes sense. Next up, comma-separated values. Now, this works by adding commas in between each value so you can insert it into a spreadsheet. You can do the same thing with tab-separated values. So these two formats right here are meant to be plugged into spreadsheets later. You can drag and drop it into Excel or Google Sheets or whatever you want if you really want to get analytical about the data that's happening on your show. Bot trigger formatting. So if you guys use bots and you use variables, like you want to put in the username or something like that, you know that each bot has its own way of plugging that information in. For example, in Streamlabs chatbot, to put a user in, you put a $sign and then username or user ID, but the $sign in front of some text signifies to Streamlabs chatbot that, hey, this is a variable, fill this in with this information that I'm requesting. Normally what will happen is STRM.TOOL, because of the URL encoding, the special encoding that it does for the trigger so that nothing gets corrupted, it will change those to weird characters. For example, it changed these squiggly brackets to %7b for opening one and the closing one is %7d. Now, if you're pasting this right into your bot, you want to preserve those brackets, preserve those variables when you build a trigger, right? You don't want to have to go in and edit it later and change all that stuff. And this is what this does. So no special formatting. That's meant for plugging it into an OBS browser source, running it in your browser, something like that. Running a local bot, it will preserve the different things that those bots need to do their jobs properly. And we'll get into setting things up for bots a little bit later as well. But you have some local bots to choose from. Guys, if you use other bots that you want to incorporate into STRM.TOOL as well that have a special kind of formatting, let me know. I can easily add that in and we can get that taken care of as well. But let me know if there's more bots that you'd like to see supported as well. So we have Cruise Control and Streamlabs Chatbot for bots that run on your PC, both extremely powerful bots. And then we have Nightbot, Stream Elements, and Streamlabs Cloudbot that work in the cloud. There is something coming very soon that's going to allow you to easily connect those bots to STRM.TOOL. Right now, what you have to do is set up port forwarding, which means setting up static IP addresses, setting up your router to forward ports, and all that fun jazz. Some of you know how to do that. Great, it works. It works awesomely for sending commands, firing triggers through STRM.TOOL. But if you don't know how to do that, it can be very, very frustrating and confusing. I'm actually working on a process right now to make it super simple so that you guys can just copy and paste something from this piece, right from building the triggers, and put it right into Nightbot or Stream Elements or Streamlabs CloudBot. So you can have those bots actually read and write files on your computer if you want, or change scenes in OBS or anything like that. So that's all coming very, very soon. Trigger security, like I said, this is just a random string of characters. When you first install STRM.TOOL, it just generates a random string to kind of protect your URL. What STRM.TOOL does is it always checks to make sure that whatever the password is, in the trigger, that it matches what's on file on your computer. If it doesn't match, it doesn't fire the trigger. So, it's a randomly generated string, and it just plugs it into every trigger. Now, you can choose to go without passwords if you want. I don't recommend it. I recommend just leaving it the way it is when it's installed. It just adds an extra layer of security so you don't accidentally trigger something from another computer or someone else on your network trigger something unexpectedly. Response voice. This is for text-to-speech. In the premium tools section, there's text-to-speech, so you don't need to have text-to-speech just fire when there's an alert. You can have text-to-speech fire on any event. Have STRM.TOOL fire text-to-speech, but it's through a service called Response Voice. You need to set up a free account, and you need to get your Response Voice key. So to do that, you can go and get your site code, sign up, copy your site code, and just paste it right in there. And from there, it will extract your key, and you'll be able to use text-to-speech. And finally, for settings you can toggle, OBS WebSocket connection. This allows STRM.TOOL to communicate directly with OBS. So that means changing scenes and sources. That means getting information about what's going on in OBS. So right now, with broadcast tools, you have OBS command where you can send commands to OBS. You can tell it to switch scenes. You can tell it to start streaming, stop streaming, turn on and off sources. More is coming down the pike, including the ability to do live troubleshooting. If you're having issues in OBS, STRM.TOOL can actually ask OBS for all the information that's going on, all the data it has, and STRM.TOOL can then figure out and narrow down what your possible issues are. Of course, you're going to have to do a little bit of work as well, but STRM.TOOL is going to be able to narrow it down to a few items instead of you having to throw your arms in the air and go, I have no idea what's happening. We also have two other buttons right here. Reset user settings. So this is like your passwords, your login information, all that. If you click it, you'll see that's your settings, passwords, login information, but your other data, such as your quotes, your counters, progress bars, anything else like that is preserved. So it just resets your settings. Now, if you wipe all user files, that's everything gone. That's your passwords, that's your login information, that's your counters, your quotes, your progress bars, everything will be wiped. It'll be like a fresh install. So only click that if you're 100% sure you want to wipe absolutely everything. There are advanced settings as well, but advanced settings we will leave alone because there's quite a bit to it, and there's some things you can really mess up in advanced settings. Unless you are asked to use advanced settings, or unless you understand what they are by looking at it, I recommend don't touch them. They're there just for troubleshooting and advanced users who know exactly what they need. And then before you leave the settings section, make sure you save your settings. If you try to leave without saving, it will remind you to save your settings if you want, or you can discard them. So I'm going to save them. Actually, you know what? Let's turn on light mode, and we'll save that, and we'll burn out our retinas here. And we'll end on that. Sound good? All right, let's see how this looks.